we're going to go through a time of Constantine. Everybody heard of Constantine? Okay. We're going to go through the time of Constantine. There was an exterior Coptic religious community there that refused to accept this European and worship this European as a god. They only had a handful of these male-type Coptic Uncle Tom Egyptians. They were the Uncle Toms of antiquity. But they accepted these were the bourgeois Coptic Egyptians. Now, we have some of those in our society today. And they all knew they were white folk. They never come down to the grassroots and walk among and talk among our people. So these bourgeois were the ones that kept this Serapis among the Greeks and the Romans alive, this image. Okay. This image of Serapis is known today as Jesus the Christ.
Jesus the Christ.
And when Constantine came to power, something happened during his time. There was a division in our community at that time. It is called and known in history as the Deciphering controversy. That controversy came about when members of that religious community turned over sacred writings to Diocletian, the Roman emperor at that time. And division came about when members of that community, such as Donatus and Bishop Secundus, said you were supposed to have martyred yourself instead of turning those divine writings over to this Roman emperor. You're supposed to have martyred yourself, just like your predecessors and your ancestors before you. And so what happened was that community over in Egypt was divided all across North Africa. I'm going to give you an analysis of that. In Chicago, I told you about the unification that we had in our community when Harold Washington was being elected in Chicago, right? When Harold Washington died, division set in. Okay? Our political-based community was divided. What happened during that division was a white man came right up in the middle of it and became mayor of the city of Chicago, Richard M. Daley. He's the mayor today.
How that sound out there, y'all?
That happened to us in Chicago. So the same thing during the time of Constantine, and we're talking about in the 4th century, a division came about, and it's known as the Deciphering controversy. Okay. That controversy caused Constantine to go to a member of the exterior Coptic religious community who had refused to accept this white man as God and made a deal with that individual. That individual's named Sylvester I said, listen, Sylvester, if you accept Serapis, this white image, into your community and get the rest of your people to do the same, I will give you my imperial emblem of authority over that community. In other words, you will be the head NIC. You know the head NIC. And all I want is to be baptized in that community, in your community. That's all I want to do. And if you do that, you will have authority over the whole community. I have no authority. So Sylvester accepted that. And he became the head HNIC over the Coptic community. And that deal is known in history as the donation of Constantine.
Now let me add something to that, because I mean the Grand Master will blow your mind. He'll blow your mind. We're gonna come back to him. But see, this is listen to me. I was already against long time ago. I used to get into it with them Negroes about that Medunetta, even before I found Professor Walter Williams. And I had my own reasoning. I would go into the stolen legacy and, the teachings that Dr. Ben had given me. And it was certain teachings that I used to, to verify that the Medunetta had not been deciphered, because it was a secret language. And so when I finally, I ran into Professor Walter Williams, man, it was like, wow, where this brother been? Where has this brother been? And when he had this, the reason why the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs had never been deciphered. It's in the back of the Christianity book. I keep messing up the title. But anyway, it's right there in the back. It's no more than about maybe 4 or 5 pages. And I say, oh, let me see what he's talking about. And when he took and said that you cannot add alphabetical letters to symbols and render the meaning. And I mean, you got to make this shit plain. You know what I'm saying? You can't, and I say, well, let me, and I say, you know what? And he showed in the book, he had symbols and he put his own symbol in there. He asked the reader, what does it mean? This is my symbol. What does it mean? You can't know unless I give you the definition. You can guess, but that don't mean you know it as the original meaning. You don't know that unless the person who created the symbol gives you the meaning, And so I say, you know what? Let me study this. And so what I did, I went and I found legends. That's what you call it, a legend. And a legend is where you got a map, or you could have, even electricians, they have symbols, and and just like if you pick up some electronics and shit, it'd be symbols on the back of it, but they got a whole, like a dictionary, electricians and a whole lot of other skilled people, where they got symbols, and it's not a letter, it's a meaning to it. It could mean electric shock, it could mean resistor, it could mean capacitor, it could mean a whole lot of things. And so understanding that you cannot add a letter to a symbol and render the meaning. So what they did with the hieroglyphs, and I studied this shit now. Yeah, I studied it. I done studied it for years now. That I know it off the top of my head, And this is in honor of the master. He gave me the key. He gave me the key, and I opened up the door, goddamn it, and opened up a few more too. You see what I'm saying? Open up 2, 3 more doors. You feel me? And so when I was studying it, I said, I'm not gonna play. I'm gonna go get all the books. I'm gonna study all the linguists. Champollion. I studied him from when he was young till he got older, and I studied the other so-called linguists, and that was trying to decipher. And so I say, let me see how they did this. And so you got this Rosetta Stone, right? And it got 3 different scripts on it. Okay, it got 3 different scripts. At the top, it got the symbols, the ideographs. In the middle, you got the demotic. And on the bottom, you got so-called Greek. But the Greeks never had an alphabet. That was an African alphabet that had been applied to the Greek language. And I can back that up. That's why when you look at the bottom, I dare you to go anywhere in the Greek world and find a manuscript previous to what you see on the Rosetta Stone. You know, you don't have no manuscripts for no Herodotus, no Socrates, no Thales, no Homer. You don't have none of that. You don't have no original scripts or scrolls from any of they so-called authors, not one. And so, you know, I say, I got to prove that. And I went to look up the oldest for every last one of them. And so I looked up even Herodotus. I say, damn, because I use Herodotus. And I even look Herodotus up. And I look for the oldest manuscript of every last one of them authors. Now, Herodotus, the oldest manuscript that they had of Herodotus was around 700 AD. 800 AD. But you know what? It was in fragments. Look it up. It was in fragments. It was not complete. It was like a page or two, but they was tattered. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a complete page. And then miraculously, the oldest complete Herodotus was in 1400 something. And I say to myself, because, you know, I do this shit. The question I ask myself, well, if the oldest manuscript of Herodotus is around 800 AD and it's fragments, where did they get the rest of the motherfucking book to get the complete one in 14 something AD? Damn near like, about 500 years later, 600, they got a complete Herodotus. But the oldest is fragments. So I asked myself, well, where they get the rest of the book from to have a complete one? And then you have to think that's right around the time when Gutenberg created the printing press, a movable type. So you see, and you can go down all the rest of them. They have no scrolls. So really, the Greeks are in the same predicament as the biblical writers, where they say, okay, Jesus lived around 0 AD, but the Gospels was written damn near 100 years, and that's what they say. That's what they say. And then Moses wrote the Torah, and he lived around 1200 BC, but the oldest Hebraic scriptures is the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they're about 300 AD. So that's a damn near 1,000 years between when Moses was supposed to wrote it to the oldest manuscript. So the reality is institution, which Walter Williams taught. When you talk about institution is like God. It's self-explanatory. I mean, it's like creation. You just look out and it is. When you got institution and you got, in order, what you need for institution, you need first and foremost, you got to have an alphabet, because you got to have an alphabet. Not only do you have to have an alphabet, you got to have a dictionary. because now you got to have an alphabet, but you got to have words to define your reality. You see, you have to name things. So you're gonna have an alphabet, just like when you went to school. You start with your alphabet. You see, we didn't know that the cursive form of writing came from ancient Egypt, but we was actually practicing our culture. Or when we was doing the letters, that's our culture that go all the way back to Africa. But see, you got to have an alphabet, then you got to have a dictionary. And then outside of the dictionary, and before you can even have the dictionary, you got to have paper. And that's how we know, because the original paper is papyrus. If you was writing before the Africans, what the fuck was you writing it on? Because it wasn't paper, you see? So we talking about the modern world, the most advanced technology was paper. It still haven't been surpassed. I don't give a goddamn what you say. And so you got to have the paper. You got to have the pen. You see? The Greeks stole their reality from Egypt. So how in the fuck could they even have until they come into Egypt? They didn't have no scroll. If the Greeks had institution, they would have scrolls just like you see in Egypt. You see, I mean, it's no excuse. When you got institution, there is no excuse. You wouldn't be, and let me explain something to you about institution. Let me explain something. This is what I expanded on the Grandmaster. I had to say that though. The one thing about institution, where most of these religions, when you always, what is the oldest book? What is the oldest book? In institution, it's not about one book. It's about mass production. You see what I'm saying? That's how you know a civilization has institution. Everything is mass production. You see, so they're not gonna have no one book. If you got students, you got to have books, damn near a book per student. You see, that's institution. You're gonna provide each student with a book, okay, with a scroll. So when they go down there, that's how the ancient, and they would have to copy that scroll, but each student would get a scroll. That's why when you go into Egypt, you find it everywhere. It's mass production. You see, we're not looking, Osiris, the story of Osiris is in over 1 million different places in ancient Egypt. You will go and you will see, and even if the story changed a little bit, you can see that it had been standardized. You see, standardized, so people ain't all over the place. Yeah, it'll be a little different here and there, but it's been standardized. So when one a brother or sister from the north talk to a brother or sister in the south, yeah, it might be some different, but when they say Osiris, they understand the standardized understanding of who Osiris is, who I said is. They not all over the place. It's been standardized. So when you're talking about institution like that, having the pen, the paper, having the alphabet, having the dictionary, and then outside of the dictionary, you're going to start having encyclopedias, textbooks per subject. You see, and so when you see in ancient Egypt, I mean, everything, when you're talking about high science, it must be written down. You see, you're not going, when you talk about the technology of how they built the pyramids, when you see them, I showed y'all that. Now, I ain't going to show you right now, but I showed y'all. When you see architects come out, like say, for instance, they come out on the site, do you notice that they still keep the blueprints like ancient Egypt, like the scroll? They bring them out and they unroll them right there on the spot, and they look at the measurements. See, they keep them, they still on scrolls. They still on scrolls, even right now to this day. And so these are things, in order to have institution, In order to have institution, you got to have the alphabet. You have to have words. You have to define the words. And then you have to have encyclopedias that give a broader understanding of the reality around you. And then you have textbooks per subject. This is what started in Egypt alone, because the proof is still there. And so when you educate an institution, you educating masses. You see, the masses have been, not no one people, they're going there, oh, this is the oldest book. In institution, you're not going to have one book. It will always be mass production. When you go down to the library today, you walk into the library, you see some, even little branch libraries could have 50, 60,000 books in a branch library. In a branch library could have 50, 60,000 books. Some books, I used to work at a library when I was young. Some books that's real popular, when you go to the shelf, they would have to have, for some of the most popular ones, like the autobiography of Malcolm X. During Black History Month, I mean, that's like one of the most, when they start doing they book reports. So when you go to the shelf, you got to have at least 20 up there. I remember the librarians, when it got time for Black History, they will order some more, because they know them kids was coming in there to get a lot of them more popular books. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what institution is, meaning that when people come, you ain't gonna have one. And then you can tell, when you look at all them books, over them, 50,000, 60,000 books, that it's more than one person that's educated. If it's 50, 60,000 books in there, then it's 50, 60,000 educated individuals that know the language and know, have been trained and educated. So that's the one thing about being in an institutionalized nation. You're going to have millions of people writing. And so you're not going to have no one book. You're not going to be looking, what's the oldest book? We're not looking for what's the oldest book, because everything in Egypt is ancient. All writing on everything. They wrote on everything. And so, there's no excuse if you institutionalize. You should not have to ask where the goddamn books is. And you got millions of people in that society educated in writing and language. There's no way. You can go down to some of the biggest libraries in the United States and find, you're talking about the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian have over 100 million pieces of material, meaning they got books, then they got newspapers, they got an audio and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying? So when you go into an institution like that, you got 100 million pieces of information. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at Egypt is the first institutionalized nation on the planet. Just like, that all the nations on the planet today are mimicking ancient Egypt, where you go and you find just scrolls everywhere, writing everywhere. Egypt is the first modern nation. Even though it's ancient, it's the first modern nation. All the attributes that nations had today, they are mimicking ancient Egypt. Now, if the Greeks, the Hebrews, the Arab, any of them, if they was institutionalized, where the fuck is their books? We should not be looking for no one book. We should be looking for thousands and thousands and thousands of manuscripts in an institutionalized nation. You should find thousands upon thousands upon thousands of books, and you have not found one fucking book from the Greeks, from the Romans, from the Arab, from the Hebrew. Why is that? Why is that? Because they did not have a language. And so now I'm going to bring it back. Now I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to get back to the Grandmaster, because I just want to show you what he, you know, how he heavily influenced me to, like, wow, I see now. I see now. Thank you, Grandmaster, for showing me that. You see what I'm saying? They didn't have no goddamn alphabet. Where the fuck is the books? What'd you write it on? You should have been just as successful as preserving books as the ancient Egyptian. When you go into the Greek temples, they ain't got no writings on the wall. They didn't have no alphabet. They did not have an alphabet. Okay? The populace of Greece was ignorant, illiterate. The populace of Rome was illiterate. The Europeans didn't come out of illiteracy until damn near the 17, 18, let me be real with you. They didn't come out the damn, and many of them ain't out of it yet. They didn't, you see, and this was what tripping people out. They didn't have access to books like that. Just in the last 100 years, and it's blowing people's mind, because they see, if you don't, because we've been knocked out, we hit over the head, and so we was blacked out, and so we don't understand that these people didn't even have no books or history. You see, and so now that they didn't re-educated us in the last 100 years into their indoctrination, we don't understand that they literally just got books, the Bible. They didn't have no Bible in the 1400s. They didn't have no goddamn Bible where you, like, you could go in your house today and you can find, I mean, I got about 10 Bibles. I got about 15 different kind of Bibles that I need. Some people got 4, 5 Bibles. Man, listen, in the goddamn 1700s, the commoners didn't have access to no damn Bible. So you know how you think, they didn't know nothing about it. They just like Professor Walter Williams said, they what's the word? Where they just freestyle. You understand? They didn't know that, they just went off just like you telling a fable and shit. They wasn't reading from no chapters and no goddamn verse. What they heard another motherfucker say about Daniel, or what they heard another mother, they just regurgitated that, but they was not reading from no chapter or no fucking verse. They just got access to that Bible during, not even when the printing press was created by Gutenberg, because the populace still was uneducated. They had to go and educate them on the alphabet and just what I just in definitions and sentences and shit. And so they basically just got to the level where they were reading books on the average level in the fucking 1900s. I'm telling you this. Anything before that, only the priesthood, the elect, not even the ones at the bottom, the ones that was at the top. You see what I'm saying? A lot of them goddamn royalty was illiterate. They didn't know a fucking thing. So I'm tired of motherfuckers acting like the Greeks and shit and this, that, and the third, and Champollion and this, that, and the third. And we go, like I said, I'm gonna get back to the Grandmaster. But I want to show him that he didn't, I want to show him, and so he can grade me. You understand? From a mentor. I want him to give me a grade. You know, and whisper in my ear if I done messed up somewhere. You see, you know, that they just got access to this information just recently, and just got access to mass literacy. Africa had mass literacy over 5,000 years ago. When you think about the 2 great library cities in world history, you talking about Egypt and you talking about Timbuktu. And so again, you know, and Timbuktu had almost a million scrolls. You see, almost a million scrolls. The Arabs didn't have no scrolls. They didn't have no scroll. They're another lying ass race. You know, and here they come out the they come out the damn desert. And then when they come in, they didn't have no books. They was out there riding on camels. And then when they come in to Egypt, then they come in and all of a sudden you got Arabs and Muslims with that invented geometry and all this geometrical treatises and all of this. These is Africans that already had the knowledge and they didn't put an Arab name on them. God damn it. Hey, these goddamn, how the hell you gonna trip over the damn boundary line between Arabia and Egypt, and then all of a sudden over there you a camel herder, then you trip over the goddamn boundary line between Arabia and Egypt, and then you become a great a mathematician and a great scientist. These was Africans that already had the knowledge. These was Africans that already had the knowledge, and they gave them an Arab name, a Muslim name, to confuse you that somehow this is some Arab legacy, and you can't find nothing in ancient Arabia but a damn tent with camel skin, goat skin. Okay, so we got to dispel that myth too. And so family, so now I'm gonna run back up here now. I'm gonna run back up here. So at the Rosetta Stone, and I'm gonna take 2 minutes. You see what I'm saying? In the Rosetta Stone, you see, you go and you look at the bottom, and you got so-called Greek. In the middle, you got the Demotic cursive, and then you got at the top, you got the ideograms, which is the symbols. Now, it's crazy how many alphabets that they had, because even the symbols had a cursive script. A lot of people don't talk about that, but even the symbols had a cursive script. Now, what they realized, because the top was broken, you see, the top of the stone was broken, and so you know, right there, it's been damaged. Period. It's been damaged. You missing something. You missing something. So there's no way you're gonna be able to. And even then, when they realized that it was far more symbols, because what they was gonna try to do is try to take letter for letter. You see it, but it was more symbols than it was the so-called Greek alpha, letters. It was more symbols, so they couldn't match it symbol for symbol. And in the Demotic, I believe it was more Demotic letters than it was Greek, so it didn't match. So they couldn't match it, letter to symbol. And so what they did, they could understand some of the words like Cleopatra. They could, in the Greek, they could understand that. And so what they said is, you know what, them cartouches, them must be the names of the royalty. And so because they could see Cleopatra, they could see Ptolemy, they could see Alexander, what they did is they would try to take them names and match them on to the cartouches. You see? But let me tell you, that it did not work. It did not work. They could not match evenly, even trying to do that methodology. And that's why they tried to use Coptic and other languages to try to fill in the gaps. So even right there, once the so-called Greek on the bottom did not make a clean transition, the shit is over with. You can't go get to add other shit from, that's not on the stone. You have to use what's on the stone. If you cannot succeed with what's on the stone and you got to go add Coptic ain't on no wall in ancient Egypt. Just let me tell y'all that. Coptic is not on any wall in ancient Egypt. They never use Coptic. So they telling y'all that Coptic is the last, stage of evolution in the language of, who told y'all that? Who told y'all that? Who told y'all that? You see, so when they tell you something, you know, and you believe it, and then they get away with it. No, they could not decipher. Now, I'm gonna tell you, and then I'm gonna come back out because this is why I do this for you. So I want you to rationalize, even, and listen to this. And I'm gonna show you little gems that I could drop on you. Now, when you see them spell, I used to say Ptolemy, but it's not Ptolemy. It's Ptolemy, right? Ptolemy. But ain't that, you know, when you don't hear a word or letter, that's English. I believe that's come from the English language. How is it that you put a P on one of them symbols, but it don't say shit? You don't say Ptolemy, you say Ptolemy. So the P ain't even got a motherfucking sound. Listen to me what I'm telling you, man. Listen to me what I'm telling you. When you look at Ptolemy in the cartoons, if you go look it up, they're gonna have P in the front. They're gonna put a P on one of them symbols. But they don't even pronounce the motherfucker. It's Ptolemy. Yeah. But that's different. See, you sound it out now, but in that sense, they don't say Ptolemy. We understand. Listen to me. It's not the sound. It's not the sound itself. It's the grammatical rules that's in that translation. You see what I'm saying? Where they do not sound the P. I'm not saying they don't have the P sound. But why is the P there if it's not pronounced? Explain to me that. I think the English language is the only language where it do that, where you got a letter there, but it don't make a sound. If it don't make a fucking sound, why is it there then? Why is it there? Explain to me that. So really, you don't even get the P. You take the P off. You see what I'm saying? Take the P off because it don't make a sound. Okay? And so when you look at how many letters that they actually got, they got maybe like 2, because what they do is they find another stone that got the various Greek names. They didn't have that many. Majority of the queens was Cleopatra's. I think you had some Bernices, you had Cleopatra, you had Ptolemy, and a few, so you didn't have that many names. And so out of all of that, they only got about 13 letters where they could, that it did not. So what I'm saying is that they failed in trying to use the so-called Greek to match it up on the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. They failed in that. And so what they did, they came and added other shit like Coptic and to give you the illusion that they had deciphered it. You see what I'm saying? It's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. Everything is just like goddamn Marvel Comics or Disney or any of that, where they then created a whole world and then they put all type of stories together. I mean, you can look up and create and see some things happening, and then you add, you bring it to life how you wanted to bring it to life. The words, they have no understanding based on the symbols. That's all I'm trying to tell you, that they have no understanding based on them symbols. And so Walter Williams was the one that he say you cannot put an alphabetical letter. Now, before I get out of here, because I want to teach you, I want you to have these gems. I don't want you to get away from me now. I want to be able, even African now, because this is what these niggas is doing now. So you don't trip. Even African, because what they'll do, they'll come and say, oh, I'm putting this on it. I'm putting that on it. It's a secret language, meaning that the symbols have definitions based on the priest, the understanding of the priest. if you, like I said, if you go to a symbol, it could have a paragraph, it could have a book worth of information. You're not gonna have no letter. So what they'll try to trick you is and tell you, well, we're gonna put an African language. You cannot put an alphabetical language on the hieroglyphs, even an African language. They fooling you with that. So they can trick you. And only thing that's just like niggas painting white Jesus black. You see, and that's all they doing. They're trying to trick you into believing that you can take. No, you cannot. You cannot take no alphabetical language and add it to a symbol. So do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. Okay. And so again, so that's what the Grandmaster taught. And I went, and like I say, if you go look up, just look up legends. That's all you had to do. Map legends. And what you will see all type of legends. You could, like, if you sometimes they'll have a map of a park, and they'll have, picnic area or waterfalls, they'll have just different things that you will have in the park. And then they'll have the legend at the bottom, and it'll tell you what it is. It's telling you to do something. It's telling you the stop sign. It's telling you to stop. It's not a letter. You can't put a letter on a stop sign and render the meaning. You see what I'm saying? You could come to the railroad tracks, and it'll let you know railroad tracks. It means stop, nigga. You for this goddamn train run your ass over. You see? Stop. Get your ass. Let it be known as red lights is blinking. That means stop, nigga. You can't go put an A on it or a B on it or a C on it. It's rendering a meaning. What's the fucking meaning? And see, the thing is, just like when it's telling you to stop, if you fool yourself that you know it and you don't goddamn know it, it could be very dangerous for you. You see what I'm saying? And so do it for yourself and get back with me. Go look at all the legends and look at, and lastly, because y'all motherfuckers got me out here now. Y'all got me out here now. Listen. I done seen going to various legends where they'll have the same symbol, like the circle with the dot in it. They'll have that symbol on so many different legends. You feel what I'm saying? And it'll mean something different on every legend. It could be the sun. It could be the sun. It could be something different. It could be the atom. You see, it could, it could be a record. You just like you put, you notice that when you look at the record that you put on, the vinyl that you put on a record player, that it looked just like the guy. It could be a CD. It could be a DVD. You see? Yeah. They're going in on them. Go in on them then, goddamn it. Show them no mercy. Let's talk. We you know what? We're gonna be going in because I'm not gonna just play Professor Walter Williams just straight through. That's a disservice. That's a disservice. I just wanted to stop right there. And we're gonna come back tomorrow and we're gonna do Walter Williams, just like the brother said. We're gonna do Walter Williams on, and I just wanted to focus on that part of the Medunetta, which the Grandmaster most definitely, broke backs. His motherfuckers hurt all over the African Centered community. Niggas was going to the YMCA, having their little Medunetta classes. Niggas and went back after listening to Walter Williams and General Cyrus Sunseti. Niggas went back to the YMCA the next week, and motherfuckers had going out of business on that motherfucker. Yeah. No, I ain't done for the night. I'm gonna drop some more. I got some more in there. Yeah. So yeah, they so that part of we want to most definitely, and we gonna get on that Serapis too. We're going to get on that Serapis. Tomorrow, we're going to play the Grandmaster. I'm going to have it right there where he go in. I'm going to go in on the next day. I'm going to go in on Muhammad. We're going to talk about the Hagia Sophia. We're gonna talk about that goddamn the St. Peter's Basilica. You know what I'm saying? They keep telling y'all niggas that they have popes and shit. Hey, they keep telling y'all they had popes in Rome, you know, since Saint Peter the Apostle. You know, I got the whole book and shit. And all them motherfuckers, they ain't nothing on them. Well, you know, I say, and this is a Catholic presentation. You go to the earliest one, all they got is a date and say little was known about what the fuck. How did you get this? You know, they say little is known. You know why little is known? Because the motherfucker never existed. Never existed. They didn't fuck it. It's a crazy. See, the thing is, and I'm gonna end with this, and I'm gonna come right back. When they created that printing press, that's when they created all the dates that you got today. Because that's when they say, well, goddamn, what we gonna date this shit? That's in the 1400s. That's when they started. That's when they started dating a lot of that shit. And then they, you know, because it was early, they was refining it. You know, so that's why you got so many crazy ass dates for a lot of shit, even amongst white people. When they started dating Egypt, if you look at a lot of the Egyptologists, you got some white Egyptologists that say Egypt started around 6,000 BC. Then you got some that say 4, 5, you know, all in between. And so I believe even up, you know, and so I believe what they did is they rounded it off and they 300, you know, 300,000, you know what I mean? 3,000 BC. They just rounded it off. So they was just putting these dates in here. They don't know what the fuck. They just come on out the cave. They ain't got no understanding. Why do you think that they start 0 AD? 0 AD, because that's really when they come on the scene. They still was savages, but that's when they was officially on the scene. 0 AD with the Romans, not the Greeks, none of that. The Romans is when they came out of them caves for real. All right. So, family, thank you, Professor Walter Williams. Thank you. You have most definitely been a blessing to our people. You most definitely been a blessing to me. I could not be the scholar that I am today without you, good brother. I bless your spirit and your name. Bless your walk on this planet. Bless your walk on this planet. It's been a great, enormous contribution to our people. You have been a great, enormous contribution to our people. And we praise you, good brother. May you rest well, and we going to be calling you now. We're going to be calling on your name, good brother. So if you want to come on down and commune with your family, come on down, because we calling on the great ancestor all week. What is this, Monday? We're going into next week. All right, family. I'll be right back. Arm yourself with knowledge. Bang on that wicked ass beast daily. Liberation through African education and confrontation, Black power.